Mikel, congratulations. How pleased are you with making it through, but also the manner you did today?
Yes, very good. Obviously, we made a lot of changes, players that needed some minutes. I think they started the game really, really well. A lot of pace, very vertical. We had some great actions, collective and individually. And the first half made a difference.
What pleased you the most about the way your side attacked today?
Well, especially the intensity that we carried in the first few minutes, the intention that we had as a team, the connections, because our players as well, they haven't played that much together, but really, really positive.
So Christian Norgard was one of those who's come in. He's played most, if not all, of the cup games this season, put in a player of the match performance. How pleased were you with him?
Very pleased and not surprised, because the way he looks after himself, every teammate, and the way he handles the role is just exceptional. So I'm not surprised that he's done what he's done today.
This was one of the best things about when you get up early is you can give chances to some of the younger players. Marley Salmon coming on again and Tommy Setford for his debut. Nice moments for both of those. What did you think of the way they performed?
Well, very good. Those are the games as well that they can gain experience and as well they are with us every single day and they say a piece of what we're achieving.
You're so well placed now in 4 competitions. The way that some of the players who came in today, what does that say about the depth that you have to be able to compete on all 4 fronts?
Well, that's what we need because at the moment as well we have certain important players out as well, and the ones that are in, make sure that they are in a good moment and ready to play every 3 days and ready to compete, because that's the level.
And just finally, obviously we saw Riccardo Calafiori pull up in the warm-up, and Ben White looked like he might have been injured as well today. How are they? Are they a doubt for midweek?
Let's see in the next day or two the news on them.
These games can be very difficult against lower league sides in the FA Cup. How pleased are you with the manner you made it through tonight?
Yeah, very pleased. We were very professional. We had the right intent and 4 goals and a clean sheet. Like you said, they can be tricky sometimes if you don't apply yourself properly, but that wasn't the case with us today, so yeah, we're really happy.
All of those 4 goals coming in a 16-minute spell in that first half. A lot of it seems to be driven by Eberechi Eze. Some fantastic assists in there as well.
Yeah, no, he was unbelievable today. Pulled all the strings from the middle, and had a hand in I think all the goals, and really pleased for him.
After your goal on Thursday, a very different one today, but you seem to be getting a habit of getting into the right positions at the moment.
Yeah, no, I thank God for the goal and for the win, and that's my job, to try and help the team every time I play, and that's my focus. And when we win, it's much better than when we draw like the other day.
Obviously, you're still top of the Premier League, through in the Champions League, League Cup final, through in the FA Cup. Lots of Arsenal fans are going to get very excited about where this season may end. Yeah,
for sure. I think they have every right to be. We're working hard to try and deliver the type of season that I think it ought to be with the way we're performing right now. So that's our main focus. And I think it's exciting. But we need to carry on just doing the right things every single day and see where we are at the end.
He's a man that never gives away with injuries, is he? He always says, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on Riccardo Calafiori, see what's happened there. But what do you think most pleased him today? He was fairly philosophical after the Brentford game. We were both there, Martin, but ultimately he will have been disappointed that 2 points were dropped there. So what do you think he was most pleased with about today?
He found solutions in the final third, options. There was some good balls played in over the top. Eze as well, that improvement. Jesus, the quality of his finishing, a little bit of class in and around. And Madueke continuing to beat his fullback at will. You know, I know the opposition today not as good, but they're still doing this in other games. And then goals for Martinelli as well is really important. He knows that the final third, these guys have to be filled with confidence going into the remaining fixtures of the season.
We wait to see what the draw is for Arsenal, but Christian Norgard gets his opportunities here in the FA Cup. Does he deserve a lot of credit for the squad player that he is, because he's always ready when needed, but not necessarily first pick?
He knew his role when he was coming here, let's be honest. I mean, he had Zubimendi and Declan Rice in there. But again, you need squad players like that. Any teams that have been on, that have won, squad players are super important. We had that at Man United. We had so many. We had 4 or 5 of them, and they made such a difference. Whenever they slotted in, they were ready. And I think Mikel getting him an opportunity to play today, he'll be important, toward this run-in. But I think, first of all, we've got to say to Mikel, what a job he's done managing this group. I know the squad's a lot stronger. They finished second, but they look ready for the occasion, and that's all you can be. I think he's done a brilliant job coaching this team, and they're the favourites virtually in every competition. That's down to Mikel and the squad that they've built. But again, he'll want them to just finish this job. They put in such a great effort up to this point. he'll want to see him get over the line.
Leo Trossard said that Christian Norgard sets the standard in training. That kind of says a lot. Do you not think?
Do you know, and there's been games when you've wanted to put him on the bench, but you've not been able to. But yet he comes bouncing back. First training session, I'm being told his attitude is great. These are the really important players that you bring into the football club. You've got to get the right mix. Everyone plays their part. And it's just like... he's probably going around the dressing room doing a little bit of that work for the manager, reminding people of how good they are. And that's something that you can forget. The scrutiny now is so huge that players start to wonder, am I good enough? Can we win things? That inner circle has to stay really tight. And for them to go on and win something, the pressure, you've got to love it, you've got to relish it, start to enjoy it. These opportunities don't really come along too often. To be still in 4 competitions, one final in the box, ready to go. Let's get it on with Man City, who are starting to go through the gears. And you've got to enjoy this tussle. This is the life now of you're a prospective champion, and this is the lifestyle. You've got to get used to it, and you've got to enjoy it, embrace it. Luckily tonight, they've been able to rest players. And then it just shows the strength of the group. They've come in. There's still people. They're still not really secure. Who is the best 11? Who is the best centre forward? Who's going to play out in those wide positions? So it's all up for grabs, as is 4 trophies.
Yep, exactly what Mikel Arteta wants. Competition for places. Let's hear from Christian Norgard. He's speaking to Danny.
Christian, congratulations. A big win at home. Is that exactly what you needed after Thursday night?
Yeah, I think so. We've looked really solid in the early stages of these competitions, and it's about keeping that momentum. We've looked really good in the Carabao Cup, in the Champions League group stages, and now also in the FA Cup, progressing to the next round. Thought the first half was really, really good, and that always makes the second half a little bit more slow, maybe. But in general, I thought the focus was good. We didn't give a lot away also in the second half, so very positive.
The most pleasing thing as well, when you did get that first goal, you followed it up with second, third, and fourth very quickly. Yeah, exactly. Often it's these 5-10 minutes after goals where everything is a bit unorganised, and either you concede something, or you can use it to your own advantage, and I think we did that really well today. It's also a nice moment for a couple of the younger players coming on, Marley Salmon and Tommy Setford, who get the first taste of real first-team football. How do you think they did?
I thought they did really well, both of them. We see them every day in training. How they compete at the same level as us. Marley's been having a little bit more games than Tommy, so I think I need to highlight Tommy today. I know it's only 5 or 6 minutes, but it's that one action from a free kick where he's just ready, and he catches the ball and makes everything easier for us. So well done to him, and hopefully many more games for him in the future for Arsenal.
There's lots of changes today. There's so many games coming up. How pleasing was it for the players like yourself who came in to show the manager that there's real squad depth to compete on all 4 fronts this season?
Yeah, it's you need to fulfill the role that you've been given, and that will be like that for the whole season. You never know when the manager will point at you, and you just have to be ready to perform. And today, a lot of us, I think, showed that we are ready when it's needed, and that we have a depth that will be useful coming towards the end of the season.
And perform you did, because as well, Christian, you are the Emirates Player of the Match. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Lovely to see that. Right, take us inside this dressing room. How excited are these players that they are competing on all 4 fronts? They're leading the way in a couple of competitions as well. They've got a League Cup final coming up. But as players, did you discuss this? What do you do? Group WhatsApp?
No, you don't get too far ahead. I know it sounds super boring. The press, everybody, the media, we always want people to say, oh, what's the plan? There isn't. Next game is the most important. I thought today they did a fantastic job. They are the favourites in a lot of these competitions. But again, they'll want to finish the job. They've put in such a great effort. They have everything in place, Becky. Virtually everything. They got the manager, got the players, got the squad, got the depth. They just got to finish the job. And I think that camaraderie could be the thing that gets them over the line in these competitions. Got a big couple of months coming up. But I believe this could be one of the best seasons Arsenal have ever had. And that is saying a lot with what they've achieved here.
It's a day-by-day thing. And I remember, I can hear him ringing in my ears, George Graham saying, guys, we look what we're doing in the season. Nothing else matters now more than what we do. Look after yourselves, rest well, sleep well. Whatever you're doing the day before today, do it again because it was excellent. Keep that lifestyle going, and we could be doing something special. But you got to win every game that's in front of you. As simple as that.
Now, lots of positives for Arsenal this afternoon, and ultimately it was the first half, 4 goals in 16 minutes, Martin, that changed this one.
Yeah, particularly Eza in that midfield role, playing, I think in the pocket, We saw Saka last-minute substitution. Calafiori didn't make the starting lineup, and they played both as 10s in those pockets. And Eze really made the difference. Those through balls that he played, 2 assists, really outstanding. I think it was a desire today from him to want to go forward, which we didn't see against Brentford. Look at that for a ball. It's some really top quality ball, really weighted perfectly. Madueke coming onto it, couldn't really miss.
Yeah, I mean, he's great. Just get him on the ball and create. Credit Madueke as well, the awareness to make the run. And it was really interesting. You saw Madueke, I think Lucy mentioned in comms, Madueke, Saka and Eze having kind of 3 creators in there. Really suited Arsenal today.
Noni Madueke got a header against Brentford on Thursday. He's got another one tonight. He seems to be finding a good rhythm, good flow at the minute.
Yeah, he just needs reps. You know, he's a great player. He's got great talent, obviously, from that right-hand side, but he's a smart player and he's a goal scorer. He's a good finisher when he gets in. I love that header the other day against Brentford. But again, today, I just think his awareness of when to link and play short and when to run in behind was terrific today. I thought his finish for that first goal was perfect.
What I noticed with him is he always gets past the defender, and it's just that ball into the box. Sometimes, you know, he can feed the keeper too often. It's just finding that perfect ball into the box. But since he's been here, look what he's up against with Saka. But today it freed Saka up into an interesting role where he can play. If Ødegaard, you know, is going to be injured, he's had a few injuries this season, Saka can come into that little pocket, and I thought that was an interesting move from the manager tonight.
So does that give Mikel Arteta some options potentially going forward a little bit against coming up against the low block?
Without doubt, when you see Havertz now injured again, only played 9 games in a calendar year, so it's been tricky for him. He's the player I think you really want to get more involved. But Saka, you know, he's been out for a little while. When he comes into that pocket, and Madueke then plays in the team, so it's trying to fit all those players into the team, which is a task for the manager.
Gabriel Martinelli got the nod today ahead of Trossard, but again, he scored a hat-trick against Portsmouth and then another one in this round. He loves the FA Cup.
Yeah, but did you know it again? It's another one. You know, he's a willing runner. Eze sitting in that little pocket, getting on the half turn. I thought Norgard was terrific today. Look at that run from Martinelli. Great ball from Eze down the side, and it's a fantastic finish. And that's what you just need. You need willing runners, and I thought the lads did make great runs today. Madueke for the first, Martinelli for the second, and it's a fantastic finish. So I think it was really interesting to see Eze actually drop and play a little bit deeper and get on the ball and kind of dictate. Normally we see him dribbling and creating, but actually today I thought he controlled the game kind of with his forward passing.
And I think Martinelli as well, that's really good for his confidence. He looked much more dynamic there. He had a chance against Brentford where he didn't seem as confident. He scored a hat-trick in the last round of this competition. So all of these things are good news for Arsenal. Get these players confident in front of goal.
Eze must feel probably a lot better about himself and his performance today than what he would have done being hooked at half-time at Brentford. So we can have a little look at a lot of the good stuff that he did in this game.
Well, I'm a big fan, you know, and he's a player. You need these players. I mean, look at the injuries Ødegaard has had, but he's got to do more of this. You know, I think he's a player that needs to be nearer to the goal, though. These are assists that he's getting. So, you know, get him higher up the pitch if you can, but look at this for a repertoire of passes that he has. He has everything in the locker. He was more dynamic today, and he was more confident. And he's at a big club now. When you were at Palace, he really made his mark there. You know, he scores the winning goal in the FA Cup final for Palace. And those big moments now need to come in an Arsenal shirt. I'm convinced that was pleasing because he lost the ball and then got it back again. And that's something that I think the manager wants to see more of, is the defensive side of the game.
Do you know what I thought today? He was incredibly sharp. Even the way he gets that shot off the touch, everything was quick, everything was precise. There's no denying he's a really special player. Obviously, it's difficult in a team like Arsenal when they have so many top players, and he's finding his way in this team. But there's no denying, I thought today he was the best player on the pitch. Everything he did was exceptional.
We know Thomas Tuchel is a big fan of Eze, but does he need to be starting more regularly and getting more minutes just to cement that place on the plane for the World Cup?
Yes, but you've got to look what he's up against. So Havertz has played in front of him, Ødegaard's played in front of him, and it's like it was the right call to take him off against Brentford because he kind of got lost in the game. But he's finding his feet, really. He's come in a bit late to an Arsenal situation. When he was playing for Palace, I don't think the defensive side of the game was top of the list. And I think something happened in the Villa game where he switched off for a moment, and it's like, okay, right, you need to learn, you need to defend a little bit more, because it's all there when you get the ball. But as I say, I'd like to see him a little bit further up the pitch because he has got immense ability in front of the goal. He's got that electricity in his feet, and he can really hit a ball and score goals. He scored at the quarterfinals and semi-finals and the final of this competition last year for Palace. We need to see that in an Arsenal shirt.
Should we not underestimate, though, how difficult it is to move clubs, and especially come to a club like Arsenal, who were already flying, and he's had to take on a lot of information in a relatively short space of time?
Yeah, and also as well, I think at Palace, no disrespect, but it's one game a week. You know, where Arsenal, you're in a hotel every 2 days, you're away, new group of players. There wouldn't be many that he knows in the group. So it takes time to settle in and all of those factors. But he's going to play an important part. If Arsenal are going to win, you know, what is it, 4 trophies they're running for?
They're still in there for all 4, yeah.
You know, he's still an important player for the rest of the season.
You were saying this could be their greatest ever season.
And think about that. You know, this is an incredible football club. The success they've had, they could win 4 trophies. It is absolutely remarkable. And they've built an incredible team. So they have the depth, they have the squad. They're favourites in the Premier League. They were the best team in the Champions League in the group stages. You know, they have an opportunity to create something really special. But these last 2-3 months are decisive, and they need to find a way to get over the line. Look, they could win. They could win 4. You know, I really believe it would be a big ask. If they win 2, I think they'll be happy. But I think Mikel will be really proud of where the team's at right now. They just got to finish the job.
Absolutely. Right back to the goals. It was 2-0, and then it was an own goal from Wigan's point of view. Really unfortunate was this own goal from Hunt, but Arsenal forced it, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, and again, we said about Madueke and Saka creating together little 1-2s. To be fair, and also they just flood the box. There's so many bodies in there, but I just like the way Madueke held the width here. Saka, you know, they can combine Martin, and they were just too much for Wigan.
That's, I mean, you got 2 of England's right wingers out on this right hand side against, you know, minnows like Wigan. You know, it should be difficult. Okay, it's unlucky in the end. I thought the goalkeeper actually for Wigan did exceptionally well. Tickle, he's some of his service that he had, it was nothing down to him, these 4 goals. So there was 1 or 2 good performances in there from Wigan, but in the end Arsenal were just too strong. Yeah,
it was Gabriel Jesus with the 4th goal. 90 minutes in the tank for him today, and just ticking over. These strikers just getting these goals today.
But again, you know what, Norgard I thought was terrific. Look at this for a pass. You know, again, no pressure on the ball. How about the first touch? Perfect touch. And a little dink. I mean,
it's classy, isn't it?
Yeah, he is a classy player. You know, obviously he works incredibly hard for the team, but the most important thing is, look, I love that he bends his run. Bit of a high line from Wigan, but the first touch in the finish, he gives this Arsenal team so much. Obviously him and Jovic and Marina, they're all different profiles, but I thought Jesus was really terrific again today.
Yeah, and really important that he gets 90 minutes, because again he's coming back from an ACL. He was out for a whole season, so you know, important minutes. You're resting players, Supermendy, Rice, we didn't even see them, you know, they give them a rest, but other players need minutes. Skelly needed minutes, so all in all a good evening for Arsenal.
Arsenal played with the handbrake off for that first 45 minutes though.
Yeah, but to be fair, once they got the 4 goals, the game was done and dusted. I thought Wigan did a better job of kind of defending in the game, changed the shape, and it worked. Matt Smith came on, gave him a little bit of control, but Arsenal, they showed kind of the depth they had. Mark makes a good point. You know, Declan Rice didn't play, Ødegaard didn't play, Kai Havertz is not there,
Timber.
Gabriel wasn't there, Timber. You know, there's probably 6 or 7 that start every game that didn't play. But it didn't show today.
Yeah, right. Let's get some Wigan reaction. The caretaker boss, Graham Barrow, is speaking to Danny Jameson.
Graham, it was always going to be a really tough ask for Wigan today. What did you make of the way your side battled out there?
Well, obviously, we recovered. That was the main thing, which is the most important thing for us at this moment in time. But it's quite funny, Rick, because I was talking to your television company as Arsenal were coming out to warm up. I just looked over my shoulder. I thought, that's not too bad, is it? But that's what they've got. They've got 2 teams, haven't they, really, within the squad. So, no, but we're just a little bit disappointed about some of the goals we conceded first half. It's the stuff we'd worked on. But, you know, and then in fairness to the players, to dig in like they did do to stop it. I watched the game the other week that went from that to 10, and, you know, whilst you always want to score and try and come back into a game, we were very much aware that we didn't want to get done double figures and stuff like that. So I thought the players did excellent second half in particular, but in essence they give us everything that they got.
Is that the one main thing you'll take away from today? The fact that it was 4 goals in, I think, 16 minutes, but the way they stabilised, particularly the second half, and kept going?
Yeah, and they were relentless, weren't they? I mean, they kept sending player after player on. So, no, really pleased for the players, because obviously it's been a tough time, and this week there's been some positives out of 2 defeats, which is, I think some people would find that hard to believe, but no, there has been positives, and I think the players really stuck together. That was the main thing.
And so the attention will now turn to a very heated League One relegation battle. Yeah. What can you take from this into the game midweek and going forwards?
Well, the spirit and probably, we tried something when we were 4 down, and it worked, so going to the back 4, but more the fact that the spirit is good. I think on the pitch today you see that at our level we will be, I think we've got enough to keep up, stay up, that's the main thing.
And just finally, any indication of when there may be a new manager? Are you expecting to be in charge again on Wednesday?
Hopefully there's something happening in the next few days, but we're just hearing rumours, but I think I'll be ready to step down, no problem.
Well, I feel like he'll still definitely be a part of the club and the backroom staff. I don't feel like he'll step down fully. Gary Caldwell is the name that we're expecting is the front runner currently at Exeter, 14th in League One, to step into the fray here.
Look, it's a big ask. Wigan are a big football club. Struggling in League One in a relegation position at the moment. So it's a big ask. Obviously, today was a little bit different, a bit of a day out for the players. Obviously, they weren't favourites. They had a big support here and 5,000 fans, but they got to get back to the league form. Obviously, getting a manager appointed and try and find a way to stay up.
There certainly are positives, though, as he said, because they adapted in the second half and it worked.
Well, yeah, you can look at that. Just looking at the league table, I mean, Burton Albion, I thought, gave a much better account of themselves yesterday. Okay, they weren't up against it was a Premier League team, but they weren't up against the team that's probably doing the best in Europe right now. So it's not going to be easy. I think Luton is their next game, who are higher in the table. So it's about picking up points. But it is a club with Premier League pedigree in the past. So they simply won't want to be dropping any further down the table or into another division. That would be a disaster for them.
All right, Arsenal in cruise control here. 16 minutes it took to score them 4 goals in that first half. Dominant, Owen.
Yeah, brilliant performance in that first half. It was nice to see Eza just get on the ball and enjoy it. He had a little bit of space, and I love just drops off, no pressure on the ball. How about this for a pass? I love that. It's like a great run from Madueke as well, and a fantastic finish. And they've been clinical, Arsenal, but I love that run from Madueke. It's smart pass from Eza, and it's a terrific goal. And that was then the floodgates open, man.
Yeah, and it's all about really just Eza making that forward pass and having the desire to do so, the control. The next one, he actually gets it on the half turn, and it's really impressive. Just having a look at his position here. Look, receives it on the back foot, just stops it, and then punches it through that channel again. Martinelli this time profits. Really good finish off his left foot, and that is a real change from him. Much more direct, much more positive, and the Eze we wanted to see.
But you know it as well, it's the runners. Martinelli with a great one, Madueke with a great run. Running off the ball, forward passing is almost impossible to stop.
When this is happening, the last thing you want is an own goal as well, but unfortunately it's what Arsenal falls.
But you know what, Madueke has been great on this right-hand side. Him and Saka have interchanged, brilliant, great little smart run. And to be fair, Arsenal, man, they just flood the box.
Yeah,
It's impossible for Wigan at the moment.
It's interesting, Saka's played in the Ødegaard role, obviously a last-minute change, and it's really opened him up. I think it's been good for his confidence. He's playing with a freedom, and that was a really good ball, and he comes into this left-hand side. Both of those, that's England's right side, isn't it? Both playing there together at the same time, too much for Wigan.
And then Gabriel Jesus as well. It's like every Arsenal striker is just ticking along, taking their goal today.
But look, no pressure on the ball again. Wigan dropping off. Great ball from Norgard. Forward run, trying to play offside. What a finish this is. Let's be honest, the difference in class is shown, but they're compact Wigan, but there's no pressure on the ball and they're too high. You got to drop off. Fantastic ball from Norgard, it really was, but the precision in front of goal, Martin, has been top class.
Wigan have looked a little bit lost, when there's no pressure on the ball, you have to drop collectively. They didn't do that. And Jesus, a lovely little dink over the goalkeeper. Again, it's all great confidence for the competitions that are coming ahead for Arsenal.